Welcome to this session with uVusimuzi waNkosi Dlamini Okunene Zibadlele Salobamba. You know, I had a question, and few people actually have asked me this question. And the question was, how do I make it work in my own relationship? Do we even ever get into a fight? Do you guys argue? And all that other stuff. Obviously, we all know that relationships, you do get those seasons and times where you would have fights and arguments and all the other stuff. But the biggest one I realized was when I spoke to people was my partner doesn't want to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. I wish my partner could do this, that, and that. And the principle that I learned from some time ago, and I'm still learning from it, is the principle of sowing and reaping. The Bible says a lot about sowing and reaping. The Bible refers to us as farmers, right? And we most of the time would use the principle of sowing and reaping when we speak about offering or money. Not too far from where we are staying, there is farms, and there is a time where you will find that the ground is dry and red, and there's people working on it, and there's so much dust, it's unbearable and stuff. And those people will be working on that ground, as unbearable as it looks, but they will be putting some seed down. And interesting enough, a few months from there, you'll start seeing some greenish coming out. You'll start seeing the field turning from this dry land to a green field. And even then, it's not even the end of the process. Even then, they still have to wait, and it takes some few months before they can actually reap their harvest or their fruit. And this principle, I thought about it, and I realized that this principle works in every area of our lives. There's a musician that we had some time back who passed away, may her soul continually rest in peace, Olebu Matosa, who sang a song that says, if you want them to love you, you must love them first, or you must love yourself. If you want them to talk about you, you must talk about yourself. If you want them to care for you, you must care for yourself. But I want to even go a bit further to say, if you want them to care about you, you must care about them. So this is what happened. I have this person that I knew for some time, was married, and they exchanged, they sold 2 of their cars. So he had his car, his wife had his car. They sold both of their cars to buy a bakkie, a van. And this bakkie was like, I looked at the cars that they had, both of them, and the bakkie that they bought. The bakkie was not in a good condition at all. It was a certain brand that is easy to fix, very reliable, and it was a 5-seater, so it was a double cab. And he said, no, we need this because where we are staying, we're staying in the farm. But the other thing is, when you go to holidays, we want to go to the outskirts of the country. And I asked him, I said, how did you get it right to get your wife to sell her BMW for this bakkie that you bought? And he said something that I'll never forget. He says, Des, you know, the problem is we give ourselves time to think and ponder about decisions that we want to make. And we don't give our partners the same amount of time or even more for them to ponder and think about the idea. Because he says, before I told my wife about this, I had thought about it. I had made my calculations. It took me plus minus 3 months to make my calculations and see how this can work and how this can be a good idea for us, how this can be beneficial for us. And he says, you know what we do is once we figure it out and it is an idea that is complete in our mind, we go and we tell our partners. And we want our partners to agree with us at that point in time. And we forget that in our time, we had the time for the seeds to be sown in our mind. We have the time to prepare the soil and water the seed by thinking about ways of how to make this possible and water it and until it comes to a completed idea. And yet we don't want to give our partners the same time to do exactly the same thing that we've done. And he said to me, he said, I gave my wife the idea, I painted the picture for her, and then I allowed her to ponder on it. He says it took me 3 months to ponder on it. It took her almost 6 months to ponder on it. So it took 9 months, if not more, for this, even just the approval to say, yes, we can go ahead. And he says, you know what, when my wife had seen the picture, there was no way of stopping her from saying, you know what, let's sell these cars now. Let's get this bike now. And so it is with everything else. You know, if you want to be respected in your relationship, are you respecting? But I bet you, I promise you, if you start showing respect, sooner or later, respect will come back to you. What about understanding? You want to be understood? Can you plant that seed? That's why I personally have a problem with people who say, I want a woman who has 1, 2, 3, and 4. A woman who says, you know what, I want a man who can take care of themselves, who can drive, who's driving their own cars, who's this and this and that and that and that. What seed are you going to plant in their lives that will bring a reward, that you can really feel like you're part of your progressing in that relationship? Do you really want to walk into a relationship where there is no need for you? You want somebody that can cook, can do everything. And then my question is always, then why are you there? Why do they need you? Because the thing is, the challenge is most people who say, I want a man who's complete, or a woman who's complete. Most of them, they say that because they're selfish. They don't want to work the ground. They don't want to work the relationship. They don't want to work the ground and see the fruits of what they've placed in the ground. So, in this short message, the question that I was asked is, how do I make it work? I am learning every day to plant the seed of the fruit that I want, instead of wanting the fruit without planting the seed. It all starts with the seed, and sooner or later, you will have the fruit. And it's so beautiful when the fruit comes from the tree that you have planted. Because if you're using somebody's tree, sooner or later, because you don't know how to take care of the tree, how to nurture the tree, sooner or later the apples might rot. The fruit might go sour because you don't know how to take care of it. So I just want to advise you and say, guys, in our relationship, even this festive season, in my own marriage, I came from a background where our birthdays were not celebrated. It was just another day. Christmas, we didn't exchange gifts and stuff. And when I got married, my wife comes from that background where a birthday is a big thing. And Christmas is a big thing. Believe you me, for almost 5 years, every Christmas she'll buy me a present. Every time I had my birthday, she'll buy me a gift. But I didn't. Because maybe I was slow to catch up. Because that didn't mean anything to me at the point in time. But I promise you, after some time, it made sense. I was like, I cannot keep on being okay with just accepting gifts. I need to also start giving gifts. But you know what? For me, it took some time for me to be aware of the fact that during somebody's birthday you buy gifts. I know some of you might laugh at me and say, you know, this is not normal or abnormal. No matter how normal or abnormal it has been. But believe me now, I buy presents when it's time to buy presents. I show appreciation when it's time to show appreciation. And that all happened because somebody sowed their seed first. The beautiful thing about a seed is you sow it once and you wait for the process to take its course. And then when that apple tree, if it's an apple, has fully grown and gives you fruits, every season for the apples, you will get your fruit. The work is done in preparing the soil, in planting the seed, in watering the seed, in waiting for the tree to grow. But once it's grown, you'll enjoy. So I want to say to you, get into a relationship where you can also be part of that relationship. Have what you can tell people, you know what, like I've said in mine, I could not cook when I got married. And why? Now I can even cook better than my wife. I know I'm saying that. But this is just an example that I wanted to give. And I just want to encourage you guys that even in your family, in every relationship, what you so much desire for somebody to do for you, can you do it for them this time? Can you be the one who plants the seed? I challenge you. Please do it. And we will talk after 9 months. And I promise you, if you plant that seed, you will find the fruit. Thank you so much for the time that you've given me. May you guys have wonderful relationships, wonderful marriages, and this is Relating Relationships. We are addicted to good conversations. Thank you.